Hello everyone, hello Resco community. Welcome to today's webinar. Thank you for taking your time to join me today. This is another episode of our weekly session, same time, same date, where we talk about what we do and how we do it. Just a short memo, registration can be done either on our website or just follow us on social media where we share invitations as well. Before we start, I would like to inform you that today's webinar is being recorded and that you are on listen-only mode. If you would like to ask any questions, please feel free to ask them using GoTo app, and we'll do our best to answer them at the end of the webinar. My name is Jakub Bajla, and I'll be your host today. My role around the house is that I'm responsible for our clients and partners in Nordics region. So here we go. Let's go to a topic of the day, navigating yourself through Resco's licensing and product portfolio together with insights on how can Resco help you in the process. To bring you closer to actual point of today's session, we'll start with a little exercise for your imagination. Let's say that your household is a very busy place and that you're also a very organized person. You don't need any help whatsoever. So when it comes to grocery shopping specifically, that could mean that you have some rock solid weekly routine, storage room always audited, shopping list, research, always ready and up to date. This is the premise, like literally ideal best case scenario. However, let's try to imagine that one week this whole system messes up. You're running late from work, you know that fridge is empty, but you forgot to do everything that you usually do. Or let's say that your go-to supermarket is closed and you don't know anything about products that are being sold elsewhere. You have no ground under your feet in this situation, and there is no way how to ask for help. Yes, in friendly mood, we could admit that if this happens to a husband, his wife can always save him because she knows it all. But what are the consequences if we stay serious? That you're probably going to make some ill-advised, uninformed decision. So you will buy things that you don't need, your family will be hungry, and eventually you'll have to waste much more time by going back next day. Not a happy setting. I understand that this is not end of the world when it comes to groceries, but it gets far more serious if we talk about investments into new technologies that could change your future and separate yourself from competition. But why is it so important to talk about these sorts of decisions? For example, because according to Forbes article on B2B buyer survey report, B2B customers today progress more than 70% of the way through the decision-making process before ever engaging with sales representative. And a huge majority, 89% of B2B researchers use the internet in their research process, and they conduct 12 searches prior to engaging in a specific brand site. While it's quite natural and not really shocking, it also creates a lot of space for failure, and plain and simple, not everything is out there on the internet. And it becomes even more serious when complex decisions are being made, such as those that involving Resco. That being said, a thing you should keep in mind going forward is that attending Resco webinars is a good start, but simply it's not enough to deliver, not even win in the first place. That's why we would like to encourage you to contact us early in the process or even before you have actual customer in your room, because we can do so much more than just provide you with a quote after all important discussions are over. And we'll talk about what we can do for you right after we present our take on licensing and product portfolio. Why? For instance, because the same report confirms that when buyers were asked why they selected the winning vendor over others, 75% said the winning vendor content had a significant impact on their buying decision. So now we've arrived to the first, let's say, pricing related stage. Since most of the people, statistically speaking, rely on a web research, I'll start with first two terms that people usually come across on our resco.net website, as this pair of things could definitely use some explanation. In theory, products and licenses, or many other companies, might be two names for the same thing. In reality, however, it's close to more two perspectives on the same things, but with different purpose and importance. So let's start from the beginning. Resco Cloud is a platform for feature-rich building of mobile applications. Well, that's quite straightforward definition. It requires a bit more to be completely clear for any, let's say, researcher who visits our site. All what you can see on the screen right now has something to do with the basic question that we usually ask in the very beginning of conversations that we have with our clients. And that question is, what do your end users do? That's why we historically start with two products, mobile sales and field service, because those are most popular scenarios out there. Those are the most important ones companies usually start with when they have a mobility in mind. That being said, let me tell you how we understand products, what product means to us. So product in general is a specific representation of the key, or let's say common use cases. It defines needs and benefits for actual situations that are being faced in such setting for those people. Also, it eases association with the particular end user role in customer's organization. So bottom line is that it gives structure to massive and flexible Resco platform that can literally do everything. But the problem is that everything simply cannot be the answer to requirements of our clients and partners. It's just because specific questions require specific answers. On the other hand, when we look at the licenses, which is completely different thing, or let's say different perspective on what we do, Resco has more than 800 features, and every year we have 4 updates, and altogether in these 4 updates we innovate or add more than 100 features. So what's helpful about the licensing and the whole other product or perspective is that while the product helps us to realize the actual need, because the mobile application itself as a word is not really helpful when someone's looking for some specific solution. On the other hand, we understand that the platform is really robust and it requires more than just a product portfolio, since we have so many features. So how licenses helped us in the process? They actually set the boundaries for these feature sets. All of those features that we have are in some groups, and the use of these groups can vary in different situations. So licensing helps us to group these features, sets the boundaries for them, also points out cornerstone features that are more critical than the other ones. And also at some point, it creates a level of how complex and critical user roles are. A great example is that, for example, if you look at the products and you have a mobile sales there, and then you look at the licensing and you don't see any mobile sales license there. It's simply because we realized that in many companies, even salespeople, they don't do the same thing. We have customers where salespeople, goal of the day is just to talk to a client. They need to have a discussion, maybe some presentation, but the whole ordering process is not up to them. They usually send client to a website, and client has to order everything by himself. On the other hand, we have many other customers who have sales representatives in a far more difficult situation. And that means they have to present, they have to order stuff, they have to send them invoice, they have to generate, let's say, contract, etc., etc. That means it's the same role, but with different needs, different features are needed in that particular setting. That means, for example, some of the mobile sales representatives, they might need just a professional license because they don't do that much throughout the day, but still require access to a CRM, still require functionality of Resco Mobile CRM. In some scenarios, the complexity of what the salesperson does is so big, and they have to do so much throughout the day that it requires different features, different licensing. etc., etc. So that's why we pointed out there's differences between how we look at the products and how we look at the actual licenses. Even though there are some products, they have the actual representation also in the licensing portfolio, but it's kind of like self-explanatory because those rules are well defined. So what I just said in the previous slide is that there are these groups of features that are included in all the licenses. Of course, since Resco is an open platform, you can see it as a puzzle. Let's say you can always combine licenses, or let's say if you purchase a professional license, you can always add more features to it. So it's really open. You always get what you really need, but there has to be some boundaries. There has to be some rules based on based on those rules. We always define which feature is more important. Let's say for a salesperson, the whole sales automation is very important because they should be able to, in the mobile application, they should be able to start with the lead, be able to qualify the lead, convert that lead into opportunity, create, let's say, a quote from an opportunity, or generate an invoice. And as I explained before, some of the sales people, they don't require such a thing. So you can always, pick and choose definitely what you need in the application. But that's how the pricing is built, like it is built, so you can see what's actually included in that particular license, but you can always play with it. On top of what's on our web page and how it's described, how it's explained, there's also one little sentence at the end of the pricing, and that's it says that packages might also require super user license, allowing you to fully shape your solution. So what does that mean? Super user license is a specific, let's say, admin license. It's a license that allows you to work with the Woodford HTML. That's our core technology. Also, it involves mobile reports, sync dashboard, and many other features. And also, when it comes to the other key products, our flagship products such as inspections or routes, it allows or gives you the access to designer, scheduler, analyst, location monitor, etc., etc. So pretty much on one hand, if you're buying licenses, you always buy licenses only for the actual end users that will be using the application. On the other hand, you also need the whole engine to be run by someone in a back office, someone who will not just define or customize or configure the solution, but also someone who will manage it. Very important when it comes to a super user license is that it's free of cost for clients with supported partner. So why we decided to kind of like tie these two things is because it's not just eases the unnecessary admin pressure for us, because let's say that we have a client, they want to handle it by themselves, but they don't have enough knowledge or experience about the Resco, so they generate really unnecessary pressure on a support, and they just don't have experience, they don't really have the knowledge to be able to deliver a proper solution that will answer their needs. That's one thing. But on the other hand, this whole setting supports organic evolution of our network, since partners and clients team up naturally. So this is what you can see, or what you should keep in mind when you see a word superiors on our web page. There are also two other options that are not mentioned on the web, and this is why it's important to be in touch with Resco, to be involved with Resco from the very beginning of any project, and ideally also outside of the project, just to have a regular communication with us. Because there are two more things important to mention that we offer, and one of them is branded app and the other one is consumer app. These are things that usually are a result of the discussions what we have with our partners or with our customers. Branded app means that you can submit a request for absolutely branded application, so there'll be no Resco, there'll be no blue car or such things. The application will be branded specifically according to customers' needs, so it will look like their application. So it's actually great benefit when it comes to I mean, this is also one of the reasons why clients usually choose custom development, because they like to have something of their own. Using branded app, they can definitely have their own application in the store, so it looks like it's their own technology, but it's built on top of Resco. So it's kind of like a nice feature, nice to have for many partners, because they like to deliver something branded, something custom. On the other hand, consumer app is a I would say type of approach that we also opened in our product portfolio, and it allows use of Resco mobile CRM application, not just for internal CRM users, but also for users outside of the organization. So specifically, if I just to mention some examples, you can imagine your clients having an application from you, if you are a client, of course. Also, our clients have a client, so you can imagine that they provided application for their clients, so they can see some CRM data that they will define. What it means, for example, that you can allow their clients to see the open invoices, let's say, open invoices and contracts, etc., etc. So if your client, is selling, let's say, trucks or cars, and has a lot of, corporate customers, he can actually deliver application for his customers, so they are still in touch with his organization. So this is one of the, I would say, benefits of being, in touch with Resco, or being always in that consultancy mood. So you get a better perspective of what we can do for you. It's not all on the website. So in general, I just try to explain how we look at the products. There was some definitions and some benefits and some perspectives on it. On the other hand, I said a couple of things about our licensing, how we can combine stuff, what does it mean, where are the boundaries, etc., etc. So I frankly understand that it might seem a little bit difficult for some people to understand it, and that's why I started the whole presentation with talking about how customers nowadays make decisions, how they really prefer, if they rely on research. So how to put these two together? Like, we have we have customers and clients and partners with the individual approach, where they actually like to be, in control of what they're looking for. But on the other hand, I explained that, our licensing, our product portfolio, and specifically the work with us require a lot of help. So there's a useful hint, of course, how to tackle this situation. And answer to that question, or that hint itself, is the early intervention. It means that you should really not wait until you're 70% in a process. You should not completely rely on the research that you do by yourself, or you shouldn't really rely on everything that you just find on web. Start early, talk to actual authors of the solution, as they can help you to shape what you have in mind. Simply because we know our technology wall to wall, we have experience with far more mobile projects than anyone ever will. But what does it mean to start early and talk to us? To be more specific, it's really important to consider the situation as that you should be really willing, and you should really look for Resco and want them to be part of your team. So it starts with introducing your Resco representative to all key stakeholders, both internally and externally. So try to be that type of the company that brings an expert in technology to the table. Show that you're serious about your commitments, and that you're making it happen right in front of the eyes of your customer. So you'll start by introducing Resco person to all of your marketing people, to consultants, to salespeople, but also do the same thing on the other hand in front of the customer. It's also important to involve your RESCO representative as early as possible. So even if you just plan to approach some prospect and you're brainstorming internally on how to do that. Experienced RESCO representatives can give you hints, can recommend best fitting features, or suggest references to talk to, or maybe case studies to get inspired by. Also, you should allow your RESCO rep to be engaged. That means there are many levels of how we can help you, and it goes far beyond providing quotes or discounts when you're 70% in a process. We can help you define and polish your strategy for demo, or help you with the demo, or bring in our internal resources such as product team to provide you with the ultimate product support. Also, we can present the solution to your client or prospect on your behalf, making sure that they have confidence in solutions you offer to them. We are happy to take our share of responsibility also when it comes to RFI or RFP. It all depends on how early and how properly you engage us. For example, one of the ideas that we've been working on recently is that we've been organizing a RESCO breakfast with our partners. So we ask a partner to define some prospects who might be interested, or in general, let's say prospects that have people in the field. So they invite those prospects into their office, and we send the person there, and the person does the whole presentation, spends the whole day or whole morning with the customers. They answer their questions, etc., etc. So this is really quite good definition of what we can do for you. You don't have to always think that you're in it by yourself. We're happy to help with every single step of the process. What are the benefits of such approach? Is that you not just offload your team by letting them focus on the stuff they're good at, so they don't have to do our job. They don't have to do our work. We'll take care of that. So they'll have more time to focus on the important stuff. You can always and also enhance performance of your team, starting from pre-sales, since RESCO experts can bring huge value when it comes to mobility strategy. Also, you can improve your customers' experience by showing your customers that you work with experts to make sure they get the best available service. Moreover, don't be afraid to talk about it and collaborate also on marketing level. Case studies, promo videos, attending RESCO Next conference with your client, and just spread the conversation. All of that is greatly appreciated, and it will get you definitely custom conditions. Because when we talk about the pricing, reality in a business is that no one really wants to talk about the list price anymore, and it's understandable because we are trying to create relationships. We're not just sending quotes and receiving payments for it. So more you are engaged, the better conditions you get. I mean, in general, just collaborating on a case study where we can talk about the ideas from partner, where you can talk about the solutions that the client is using, is very beneficial for all parties. Because we have many clients in many industries that say that for their leadership, for the management, the technology is something they would like to use to separate themselves from the competition. So they are really willing to talk about it, and we are happy, we are very grateful if they want to talk about it, and that's something that can get you better conditions. And there's far more that we can do when it comes to the discussion that we should be having. Of course, your own plans, your own deployment plan going forward can influence the conditions that you will get. Because, for example, if you plan to collaborate with RESCO for the next 5 years, it's something very important, something that should be mentioned. Because it's not just that you contact us as 70% in the process and you ask for a quote. We know the whole project, we know the whole deployment plan, we know that you are willing to collaborate on much higher level, so definitely puts you in a different category. So this was briefly how we look at the pricing, how we look at the products, how we look at the collaboration, and all the other things that should inspire you to engage us early in a project or even before it starts. Uh, this is all when it comes to content. Now I'll try to check if we have any questions that need to be answered. Okay, so at this moment, there are no questions. So that being said, please take a look and hard look at your point of contact and feel free to contact them via email or just leave a question and they will contact you after this call is over. I believe that email format is visible for everyone, so save it and use it anytime you find yourself in a situation when you're thinking about the mobility and you need consultation. So thank you very much for your attention today, and I wish you a great day. Thank you.